Thank you all for coming. Right. So I'm basically going to start from childhood. So from a young age, I got put into care, and so I think I was about 2, maybe or 1 years old. And I was with a nice family, mum, dad, sister, nan, granddad, like the whole clan. And I was with them for I think maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe longer. And I thought they was my actual family. So I called her mum, dad, had a sister, went to weddings, parties, stuff. So they were like my actual family. And then as time went on a bit more, I found out that actually they weren't my family. And then, so obviously, we went into care because my dad, had a mental health breakdown. So he went, so he couldn't look after us anymore. And our mum wasn't the nicest either, so she couldn't look after us, so she put us into care. So then when luckily our dad got better and found Sue, who's my mum, they managed, it was very difficult, they had to fight through courts and all that stuff. And eventually they obviously won us back. It was very confusing because it was like the people that I was living with in care, I thought they was my real family. So it was like I was now going back into care, but it's not care, it's actually my real family. And because obviously it's my stepmom, so obviously I have 2 basically new families to kind of to meet. So like Nan and stuff, didn't know them. My dad, my brother as well, didn't really know who he was. We had a couple of meetups at this place, but I thought he was just a lad there that was just there when I was there. And I think when I got to about 8, 9, maybe 7, I was a very misunderstood, scared little boy who was absolutely terrified of the world and just was very confused as to why I was being moved around everywhere. And obviously, because I wasn't diagnosed with autism at that time. So there was a lot of stuff that I would do that just wouldn't make sense. I used to hit my head against the wall quite a lot because I didn't know my speech wasn't that good, so I didn't know how to kind of explain, okay, I'm feeling like this or I'm feeling like that. So the way it would come across would be meltdowns or lashing out, which obviously wasn't the nicest, but that was kind of the way it was. When I went to primary school, it wasn't as nice as what primary school should be. It should be fun and, it's meant to be more fun than what high school is. So, but basically, as you can from the picture, that's obviously basically best way of describing it. That's basically me. And I found the picture on Google and it got me straight away. Not because of like the bag or nothing. I don't really like how the bag is, but just the laughing and the little tears, sort of stuff like that. And that's what it was like. So I was bullied by the kids or the classmates, but they weren't really classmates, and the teachers as well. So they didn't, most of the time I was sitting outside of the classroom because I was, sent out because I was a naughty child, which I wasn't. I just couldn't, I couldn't like write my name or do simple stuff that everyone else in the classroom could, and they used to make that quite obvious. So I didn't learn a lot because I was always outside of my DS, unfortunately. And then when I'd come home, obviously I would have loved to have gone home and said, well, I'm being bullied and the head mistress has been pinning me on the floor and being like throwing me around and doing nasty stuff. But to me, that was just normal. I didn't know any different. And I felt like it was me against the world. That's because I didn't really know my actual family that well. So I didn't have that trust of actually saying what's going on. So that made it quite difficult. And I used to get really bad panic attacks. So when my birth mum came back on the scene, at first I think I was kind of happy because obviously she's my mum and I forgot from childhood and stuff. And then we started seeing her at this place called Mr. B's, where kids would go to see their parents and stuff that have been in care. And after a while, I started realising she don't give a damn about me or my brother, because she would like follow us around all the time. She didn't know how to interact with us, or sometimes I'd be doing some painting and she would just all of a sudden start crying, and I felt very uncomfortable with that. And then she would always bring one of her boyfriends along, so it would be a different bloke every week, and like they was all very similar, quite big and quite scary, obviously, as 9 years old, quite small. Seeing them come in, like smelling the booze and, you know, quite beefy and with beards and stuff. And there was one time when my mum was waiting in one of the rooms, and my stepmum, and one of the blokes went in there, and he was shouting and stuff. And I remember just like standing in the middle of the doorway and just being absolutely petrified of this massive guy just absolutely screaming. And then so he was screaming at my stepmum, and then my birth mum was like not even doing, she didn't care, she was just there, and she saw me standing there. And obviously I'm not a parent, but I would have hoped she would have like come across, hey, you know, you don't need to see any of this. So that was quite difficult. So some of the stuff I used to see from that age, which I shouldn't have seen at that age, and I used to get really, really graphic night terrors. Some of them I can't really describe because they're very dark. And when I think back on it, it's like at that age, how graphic it was, like mum's head chopping off and rolling down the road, and weird, really messed up stuff. And that made school, when I got to a bit older in school, it was good. When I got to bigger school, it was good in some ways. I enjoyed PE and drama, and I did have some kind of friends a little bit, but because a lot of the stuff was still going on with my mum, it kind of ruined my childhood, because the school I went to was so I'm from Kings Lynn, the school was in Fairstead, and we found out that she lived in Fairstead, so I used to have night terrors of her like coming into the school and walking to my classroom and coming to kill me and stuff. So I never had a good night's sleep before school, so when I'd go into school, I'd be quite, not angry, just really moody and a bit snappy and stuff. And I've actually got, so this is the book that I used to kind of write all the stuff in, because that was the easiest way, the stuff that used to happen to me. Just trying to find. So this was one day, so this was two teaching assistants. At break time, Lynn and Chris said, "You're okay, Moody?" And I said, "Well, I'm not moody, I'm tired," but they don't seem to understand that. So I was very tired, and I went to school feeling shattered and felt sick. At school, at the dinner table, Chris and everyone else in my class were really annoying, saying stuff about my dreams and thinking they know what is going on. And then Chris, one of the teaching assistants, said to the rest of the class, "Just ignore him, it's only because it's to do with his real mum." And I had to kind of bite my tongue a bit there, because, well, that's nothing to do with her. And some people knew about it because I used to have someone come into the school to come and talk to me. So even when I was in bigger school, if I wasn't in a classroom, I'd be outside kicking a football against the wall to just get all the anger out, or I'd just be walking around and just walk, you know. This photo here, I'm about 13, 14. And obviously that's a difficult time anyway, because, you know, hormones and you're changing and stuff, so that's difficult anyway. And kind of when I look at this now, I really don't recognise myself, because I didn't know who I was, or I was just this skinny, misunderstood little kid who was still very scared, even though I would never show that, and I'd come across, you know, the big man, because that was my shield. So that was quite difficult. And at this time, there were times when I weren't even going into town at the bus station either, because there was this one time I was in town, and my mum was in a shop, and me and my brother were waiting outside. And this bloke came up to us, and like really weird looking guy, scary. And he got something out of his pocket, and it was a picture of me and my brother. And it was quite, you know, and he was like, "Oh, are you Emma's boys and stuff?" And I think I was probably, I don't know, 10 or 11 then, so a bit younger than that. And I just froze, and I was quite scared because he had a picture of us in his pocket, which is a bit weird. And then luckily Mum noticed, and then the security guard kind of came out and we went back in. And then after that, every time I used to go to the bus station, if Mum was there, my heart used to feel like it was going to rip out. I would get really, really bad, like boom, 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 like manically. And when sometimes we'd be on the bus going somewhere, and when she would get on the bus, I'd want to get off and stuff because I'd just be really scared. And she'd start talking about, because she believes in like God, and I've got nothing against church stuff and all that, but because she was very into that, when I used to hear stuff like that, it used to really annoy me. So like going into churches with the school, like at Christmas time when you do the performances and that, and after a while I said I can't anymore because I went to the church first time and it went all blank, and then I kind of came back to humanity, and I was sitting on the floor with my hand over my ears, like rocking back and forth, like hitting myself and just crying because all I could hear in the church was crying babies. And that was at that time when I started hearing voices in my head that were really, I mean, I used to have them when I was in primary, but I didn't really pick up on it. I thought it was just, I don't know, to be honest. And then as I got older, they got a lot worse, and it got to the point where it was like my alter ego, so I called it Johnny, just because it got to that bit where he had a name, and it was like the complete opposite to me, a very darker version of me, so very cold, and it was, you know, some of the stuff I used to say to my mum and dad, and the way I was, like that was not, you know, I regret, obviously can't take it back, but I did some nasty stuff, and I always used to, when I got to like 14, 13, I didn't really think I was going to have much of a future. I thought I was going to end up in prison, to be honest, because my anger was like so bad because I just had so much of it and I didn't know how to get all of that anger out. So a lot of it, I just, you know, I've got a hole in the wall. I used to punch the wall and I used to hurt myself as well. Sometimes I tried to keep away because sometimes my voices would tell me to like hurt my mum and dad, and obviously I didn't want to do that. So I used to have to really kind of push myself away from the family, which obviously was not nice. And then, this is me when I was 17, 18. So obviously I left school, and even though I hated school, I was kind of sad when I left because I had a routine, and you know, I'd get up in the morning, breakfast, school clothes, teeth, to get on the bus, go. And then after, obviously I left school, I was really scared, obviously, because I'm now going out into the big world, and my routine is completely going to change, and I wanted to obviously do drama at college, but I wasn't allowed. Basically, they said I wasn't capable or I wouldn't have managed, and because I didn't pass my maths and English, I wasn't allowed. So they basically put me in a bit where I shouldn't have really gone, because I felt like I was still in school and I was put with some people that are a lot more severely disabled than me. So the stuff we would do, like we'd go out for walks and stuff, and I used to kind of walk off a bit more because independent thing, and they used to like shout at me and say, "Come on, walk back with the group" and stuff. And most of the time, I mean, I didn't even tell my parents. I didn't used to go to college. I'd obviously say I'm going. I used to go and sit in the park or something, or even when I went into college, some days I'll just walk out and not tell anyone because I wasn't learning anything, and obviously depression was really bad as well at that time. As you can sort of, just different bits that I've kind of done. So like with the PTSD, obviously childhood, in school and college, and then obviously the angry. I put too many things because there is too many things. The sensory overload, obviously, with the autism thing. And then anxious, obviously loud places, so it's why my headphones on, and the bus station, and then scared, obviously, because I'm scared of changing the world. So the world obviously absolutely petrifies me, even though I can come across quite, and that, but it's all a mask and stuff. And because I'm an actor as well, it's very easy to make someone, well, to believe they're like that. So that used to happen. And then obviously, it got to 2019, and obviously I went to another college, which the first college I went to was the one where I lived, and then the other one was a bit further away. And that college, that broke me mentally, and it turned me into a very dark, like Johnny was. I wasn't really Jordan anymore. I was Johnny. Started there with kind of nice, brighter clothes, and then I would, as time went on a bit more, I was a lot darker, not shaven, was just not like looking after myself. And I know it's probably going to sound weird when I say this, but it was literally me versus the whole college. And I know that sounds really weird, but because you'd think I'd have maybe someone there, but like the teachers were horrible. I'd got called certain names and different stuff, which I'm not going to go into because that's all in the film I've done and I don't want to spoil the film. And so that was kind of difficult, and coming home on the train as well, which was really difficult and stressful because obviously there's so many people and noise, and I was already quite, and that as well. So like sometimes I used to go on the train, I used to kind of just want to like run on the track sometimes just because, or like used to like want to run into the road just because I didn't want to be here, and that was the only sort of things I could think of. So yeah, college destroyed me. And then obviously time went on a bit more, and then I thought I finally found this kind of cool art course that I was going to do actually in Norwich, and went there and I showed them some of my graphic designs and different art stuff, and they were really like, wow, this is like really cool. And I felt like, oh, okay, this is something now that I'm confident. It's like it's something good happening. And then they sort of just went cold turkey on me a bit, and I was looking at emails every day, like, why are they not getting back to me? And they never to this day explained. And then I lost my dog, who was my best friend and probably the best friend I'm ever going to have. So when I used to come home from school, I would sit down on the floor, crying my eyes out with my dog just coming over, licking my face and just sitting on my lap. And when I lost her, I didn't really know how to cope with it, or what feeling, because I'm not really good at feelings and I don't really cry. So I got a tattoo of her near my heart. So that kind of was how I dealt with it. But to this day, I'm still, I wish I could just hug her or sit down with her and stuff, because like she saved my life more than anyone else probably ever will, potentially, unless so obviously when she went, I kind of went proper downhill and just wasn't staying in my room, wasn't eating, wasn't drinking. And I was in my room. There were times where I did nearly commit suicide a couple of times. I did try to slit my throat a couple of times. And I've got like a glass kind of door, and I tried one day to kind of run through it. And luckily I didn't. I kind of ran through it, but the door opened, so I fell out onto the ground. And I think I was just in my boxers or in my pajama trousers, no top on and that. And I just started hitting the floor and just like scratching myself and punching myself in the face and crying. And then my dad sort of saw, and kind of I came in, and he was obviously a bit not sure what to. And I sat down in the chair and I was still crying, and I was saying, I don't want to be here anymore, I don't want to be here. And then Mum got back, obviously, and I said, I feel like I'm going to do something not nice. So then obviously went to the hospital, and the voices in my head were getting quite bad. So, and even though obviously the people that were in the hospital, I know they weren't looking at me and stuff, but the way the voices were and the depression, it was like they was all laughing at me and stuff like that. So we went and spoke to someone, and then luckily we was able to go into a quiet room because I couldn't trust myself with what I was going to do. So that was quite difficult. And then as time went on a bit more, I obviously finally got the diagnosis for my PTSD. So that was quite helpful. So I was finally actually getting to talk to professionals about so many stuff, and I'm still on the waiting list for quite a few things as well. And then the autism thing came up, and obviously that's, oh, didn't know you did that. Did you do that? I did. Oh. Yeah. Oh, damn it. Yeah, so when obviously I got finally got my autism diagnosis literally around this sort of maybe early August, July time last year. And when I got it, it kind of, it changed me, and I was like, I know who I am now. And when I say that it saved my life, I mean it, and literally it did save my life, because if I'm honest, I mean, I'm 24 now. I never thought I was going to make it to 23 or 24. I thought, now by the time I get 20, I'm going to don't want to be here anymore. Can't be bothered. So yeah, it literally did save my life. And then I was like, right, it's time to tell my story. Obviously, because I'm into my acting and stuff, and I've always wanted to share my story and help younger kids, just because I get it more than most people. And so then I just started. I was laying on my bed and kind of typing different stuff, and then and then I messaged someone about it, and because she had done a similar thing about her bipolar, and she said, "Wow, you've got a really, really good like structure and analysis of the sort of thing." And she said, "You should definitely turn this into a short film." I was like, "Oh, I don't know, because I've never done that kind of thing before." And so like doing the film was quite interesting. So it was all off like my own back. I found obviously the cast, who's some here. So, and you know, I really enjoyed kind of like auditioning and meeting loads of young people as well. You know, all the different talent and like getting them all involved. Obviously, finding the locations was very frustrating, because a lot of people weren't that interested, or they were like, "Well, yes, but you have to pay this much," and obviously, you know, don't budget. And there was the college stuff was a lot easier. Finding a school was very difficult. I did actually find a school, but then the day before, the cleaner messaged me and said, "The head's not happy with you," and I nearly exploded. And I was like, "Well, why?" Because I had it was all sorted, and obviously with the autism, I don't like change. And it was all sorted. We're going to be there, what time and everything, and all the kids were excited and, you know, emailed and stuff. And it was coming. It was on sort of Thursday night, and when obviously done all that, and then I kind of just threw my phone sort of thing, and then it was like, oh my God, it's getting later, and all these like kids are really excited about coming on set tomorrow, and some people are coming from quite far. So like young me was traveling quite far. So they were staying in like a hotel sort of thing, and I was like, oh God, oh God, oh God. I feel really bad now, because they're all going to be, I'm going to have to let them all down. And then I felt bad, and it was like, I know it wasn't my fault, but the way, I don't know, my brain worked, or the way I read the message, it just made me feel like it was my fault. So I went in my room, put the headphones on, listened to some very loud rock music to calm me down. And then after that, I came in and I said to Mum, I know this is going to sound really weird, but I'm going to take them bowling tomorrow, because I need to do something, because if I stayed at home, I don't know, I wouldn't have done something stupid, but I just wouldn't have been able to sit still. I would have been crazy. So I emailed. It's funny because Mum said, well, you can just send us like a small email and just say, apologies, But I couldn't do that, so I went quite into all of it and explained it all. And I was very thankful that all the parents were very understanding. And then obviously some of them came bowling. Some of them already made plans, which was fine. About 5, maybe 6 of them came along. Young me came along as well, which was really nice. We had a good game, 2 games of bowling, had some food, which was really nice. And then obviously after that, obviously finally did find a location, thanks to one of the parents of one of the cast members. And we've basically filmed it all now. It's just currently in the editing stage, which sounds kind of simple, and it's like, well, you should put it all together really quickly, but it's actually, there's a lot of, we've got a good kind of 45, 50 minutes, and from different angles as well that we're currently there's a lot, and there's like a bit at the end as well, like this little special Easter egg bit I've put in it. But it will be out this year. I just can't tell you a certain time, even though it's bugging me as well, because I just want it out. But yeah, so that's obviously the poster, and obviously that's a different sort of version of it, which I did myself. So I was quite happy with that, and I wanted to do it in a certain way. So like, and that isn't, some people actually thought that was me when I was younger, but it's not. But that's actually, when someone said that, I was like, well, that's kind of good, because it's meant to look like me. And then obviously with the colours and stuff, it's all meant to look a little bit sensory and stuff like that, and the colours and stuff. But yeah, I really enjoyed actually putting that all together. and I wanted it to look different to like, so some short films or films and you see posters and they're all kind of different and they maybe only have like main kind of people on it. But I thought, well, obviously I can't put every single person on there, but I thought, well, I wanted to put, because obviously I was, you know, really proud of everyone that was the cast members, because some of the roles they had to play was not easy, and especially as they're having to play those characters to the person it actually happened to, which, you know, well done, guys, which isn't easy. So, you know, very proud. Yeah, so I think it's next bit. I'll click on it. Right, so this is before I play. This is just a little kind of trailer that I put together. Before I press play, I just want to warn you, it is very loud and it's quite, basically it's what goes on in my head really, so it's just crazy. So if you're not comfortable with seeing quite a lot, you can go outside if you'd like to, but if everyone's all good, then.
I am a lost boy from Neverland, usually hanging out with Peter Pan. And when we're bored we play in the woods, always on the run from Captain Hook. Run, run, lost boy.
And the reason I chose that song as well is because I kind of did feel like a lost boy, and when I listened to the lyrics, it's quite similar, so that's why I chose that song, if you wondered. Yeah, so that's it. So thank you. So I'm going to do a Q&A, so if anyone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer any, or try my best to anyway. Yeah.
In the difficult times, the professionals that you encountered during that time, if things could have been better and different, how could those professionals have changed the way they dealt with things with you?
Well, for one thing, they could have been more understanding, and obviously that doesn't take a lot to be a kind human being, and especially if you're working with kids as well, you'd like to think they would be nice. But yeah, I think one of the main things is just if they were kind and actually listened to me and took in what I was trying to say, because, you know, I did struggle with trying to explain myself. So I think they're just, it's a bit of a weird one. It's just kind of just try and be a better, nicer human being, really, and just be more understanding. And actually, if you're not that sort of person, then don't get into that sort of job.
I was just going to say about really like at school when you kicked off, that was the only way you as a child knew how to deal with that.
Yes.
And why isn't it that our teachers are not trained to see that you're not being a horrible person, but the fact that that's the only way you have of actually speaking. You can't, you have no words.
Yeah, that was.
You actually have, that's the way you're communicating.
Yeah. So sometimes, one occasion when it happened, like the kid in front of me used to bully me every day, and he used to like throw paper at me and that, and I really don't like mess. So I used to get up and like go and put it in the bin, and then she would have a go at me for doing that. So it would be like I was getting wrong for doing like the right thing, and then the people that were doing the bad things kind of got away with it. And that's the sort of thing from when I've talked to different people and watched different stuff and look, a lot of that stuff does happen. It's the people that, similar to me, that just get cut out sort of thing. So when I said about I used to sit outside a lot, that was quite what happened. Even at like playtime, like when after lunch and stuff, I had a special little spot. I'd sit on the floor with my wrestling figures and try and block out everyone. And sometimes they'd come and like punch me and stuff, or throw my toys around and stuff. But that was just normal for me because that was happening like nearly every day. So it's a bit of a.
Can I just say also though, just before,
Yeah.
that it's really good to hear you talk, and well done you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry to try. I know you're going to be really annoyed, Jordan, if you don't ask people about how they
yes.
promote your film. So we've run out of time, but I know you want to do.
Yes. So as you can see, there's a QR code right there. That will go straight to basically the trailer you saw. So the main thing I'm going to say is if as many people as if you can just share it or like anyone and get them to share. So the main thing I want to do is obviously there will be a premiere of the film, and if anyone is interested, just tell me and I can make sure I let you know when it is. And the main thing that I want it to do, hopefully on YouTube, is I want it to explode where it's everywhere, where people are talking about it. And my main goal, obviously, me and my older brother are potentially going to open up our own drama company called Why Not Us. So I want to create somewhat like an alternative. So because I've gone to different drama groups and I've never felt accepted or anything, or because of when I went to Studio 19, I did dance and they weren't that good because they kind of made it obvious that I was slow or couldn't keep up, but I can dance and I like to think I'm pretty good. But I just took me time to kind of do it. And I know there's other kids out there that really want to do acting and dancing. And I think if I can create that and be the person in charge, that, I can help them kind of better and not have to go through sort of things that I did, because, no one deserves that. And hopefully, obviously, when it is out, I'll be sending it to like different people. So like some celebrities, so like Linda Carter from EastEnders, Kelly Bright, she's got a autistic son, and she's currently actually trying to promote stuff. So if I can get that to her, that would be incredible, because I'm a massive EastEnders fan. And some other people out there are quite a lot of famous, like Paddy McGuinness and his wife. Obviously, he hasn't got it, but his kids have. So it's people like that I want to try and get to. And obviously, because it's a short film, so there's so much in there. But if possible, and if the right person sees it and kind of goes, oh, let's put a bit more money behind it and make it bigger, then that's what I want to do, because I want to turn it into a proper film. And I've already got in my mind how I want it. I've got scripts at home which I can, do. And some people were like, well, would you cast someone like Tom Holland to play you or someone else? I'm like, no, I'm playing me. Young me's playing them. They're playing their characters. I'm the director. That's it. And I think it would help so many people, because if it's turning it into a proper film, I can really like go in depth on what, like from the young to what actually really happened. So obviously the short film is really good, and it got quite a lot of the stuff, but it's obviously there's a lot of stuff missing. But so hopefully that's kind of my goal, and as many people obviously that share it and stuff, most appreciated. So. Mm.